everybody. It's Jeannie and Cindy, and here we are having coffee again and chatting again and sharing our conversations with you because we always have such great conversations.
I looked at that, your shirt, and I was like, red what? Stand up. I want to see
what's Redondo Beach. That's
that's where you're from.
My hometown. And I like to take t-shirts and cut them a collar out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's more feminine looking. So I do that instead of the regular t-shirt because I don't want to wear what men can wear. I like to wear what men can't wear.
I like that too. If I wore a t-shirt, that's what I would do, but I don't wear it.
So. You're not the t-shirt girl. I'm the t-shirt girl.
And I don't care. But I don't care what anyone wears. I'm just saying it's not my vibe. So yeah. But anyhow.
You're quite the lady.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're quite the lady. You are the Dallas lady. I'm the beach girl. We were, for me, high fashion was Vans tennis shoes. In fact, that's where they started, was in Redondo Beach. High fashion.
Wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, for me, high fashion was Neiman Marcus, which was just the street. So.
Are we the odd couple?
We are. But here's the great thing. We just get along fine. We just get along. I want to talk today because you and I had this brief conversation, which is how these coffee chats all come about, Cindy, is we talked about how oftentimes we think that, a lot of people, some people are agnostic or whatever, and I don't care. But we all have an understanding of whether we are happy now or unhappy now. And we call it hell on earth or heaven on earth. So would you just lead us into this this discussion?
There's a theory out there. And when it comes to spirituality, nobody can really prove spirituality because it's all energy.
Sure.
It's all energy. And there's all these different kinds of theories that are out there. I'm going to call them theories or belief systems in some cases because people actually totally believe that these things are true. I like listening to things and then contemplating what if. I never say that's not true. For instance, on the subject of reincarnation. So what I've heard is that Earth, the human experience, is actually a school where if you didn't get it right on your last life, you're going to get thrown back in the game. And it's your soul that makes the decision. Throw me back in that game. I want another shot at that. And that we come back and that we have had many lives and many experiences. And then the other theory is that there is no hell, that the pain and suffering and discomfort is right here on earth. We are in the land of contrast here. We experience heaven on earth. When we're at our retreats, to me, that would be, if that was heaven, I would be ecstatic because we have this beautiful love exchange, this beautiful support system that we do for each other. We laugh a lot.
Music and crying.
It's beautiful.
Fun.
So to me, that's like heaven on earth.
It is.
And then we've had times where the pain is so disabilitating that we are from here, these chakras from our throat all the way down to our gut just stays like this in severe pain and trying to figure things out. And then now that we're in the information age, we are actually learning about other cultures that have horrendous things that they do in their culture that, for instance, in the Middle East, the grandmothers with the daughters, we hear horrible stories like that. And distortion of what is supposed to be pleasurable we're hearing that there's stuff in our food and you know, chemtrails, all this other crap, right? And so we might say that's hell. That's toxic. That's hell. That's hell. But we can create together instead of complaining about. So you get a piece of information that comes in, and it happens all day long, all the time, that we get pieces of information. Somebody is not doing well, you know, some this kind of, but we can create our own reality. And if we want to have a peaceful world where everybody can just live their life with all they need in a spirit of happiness, we can have that if we all wish it for each other and ourselves. So the goodness of humanity. And I think we're moving into that, Jeannie. I think we're recognizing the hell on earth. Hell on earth is war. That's war.
It is. And,
That's pure hell.
I've heard of this analogy of, like, these souls dying, and they go to this place where this huge feast is laid out in front of them, but they're each given a spoon that is this long, this long. And they're like, I can't, this is hell. And so, but somebody wakes up and says, no, if we take our spoons and feed each other, that's heaven.
Exactly. And that's the human, that's what we are in our human selves, the connectiveness with other humans.
Yes.
And one thing I love about Texas is, especially where I lived in San Angelo, is most of the people there are so friendly and smile. They're sometimes in the big cities, and they don't, and in France, oh my gosh, they don't smile back at all. I played a little game when I was in France because my daughter lived there. I was smiling at people and they'd go like, and but I caught this one lady one time and I smiled at her and she smiled back and then she went like this.
Oh my God, what I just do. Yeah. Yeah.
But people that connection with just a smile, and my parents would go walking on the beach every morning, and Mom would get so upset. She'd say good morning to people, and if they didn't say good morning back, it just, so it
rocked her world.
It rocked her world. But I would tell her, I said, you did the good thing, but unconditional love or unconditional anything is not expecting something in return.
No.
So
we had some friends stop over. We were sitting on our patio, which is like right downtown. And he's a retired veterinarian that my husband had actually built a clinic for in New Mexico years ago.
Oh, wow.
He and his wife, and we were talking. Anyhow, the guys got talking about being in vet school and all of that jazz. And this doctor said, yeah, he said, we joined the military, but they made us veterinarians and they sent us this whole group up to Chicago, from Texas. And he said, we're just like, golly, at these things. And he said, but we go, howdy, ma'am, and they look at us like we just dropped out of the sky here, oh, no, that's not good, but it was like, okay, they were bringing their own form of heaven in, and we're not responsible for other people.
No. Anytime that we experience peace, love, or joy, those are the qualities of the divine. And so that's why our retreats are so great, because the first thing we do is we say no judgment at our retreats. Because when we're worried or we're in a state of fear at all, a fear of not being accepted, a fear of not being good enough, any of those kind of fears, we're in hell. Okay? We're in hell because
I have to hand it to you, and we have mentioned this before, but we may have new listeners, or maybe they don't remember this part. But when we were putting this together at the beginning of 2017, you said, we were talking about bring a group of women, and you came up with the idea of beautiful network of women. And you said what we do normally is just network with each other. If I find a shampoo I like, I'm going to tell you about it, and we're going to tell other people, and so on. We share. And when you said that, I went, you know what, Cindy, that is so perfect, because yes, we are a network of women, but many women, because of what you just said, we judge ourselves not enough, not good enough, not pretty enough, not young enough, not old enough, not, whatever. And so instead of the network of beautiful women, which automatically in some women's minds would preclude them joining us because, like, well, I don't think I'm beautiful. Well, we know all women are beautiful. And so, but you choosing that name, and I mean, the second you said it, I was like, that's it. That's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. Because every woman is beautiful. I have something that I am putting in the playbill because I've written this musical.
Yes, Pearl.
And there's something that I put in the playbill. Talk about the inner light that we all have as women, Jeannie. Talk about that.
Well, it is a divine femininity. And we touched on this a couple of weeks ago about, there is a real difference between the masculine and the feminine. And it's there for a reason. And, we bring our femininity, and the men bring their masculinity. And I'm not saying that there aren't women who are attracted to other women or men who are attracted to other men. I'm not even saying that, but I'm talking about the energy. And so when we decided to take on womanhood as our experience this time, along with that came this beautiful light, this beautiful value, and many women do not know their value. Cindy.
Exactly. So I want to read to you. I read this. Yes, I want to read this to you. I wrote this in the novel Pearl.
Okay.
And I think it really sums up what we're talking about. Because when we feel bad about ourselves, that's hell. That is hell. And we allow things to happen that shouldn't happen. So I wrote this. This is for the playbill. I'm going to read it to you now. A pearl is formed when a grain of sand has entered the tightness of the freshwater shell and then irritates the muscle inside. The longer the process, the more beautiful and lustrous the pearl becomes, with layers and layers of iridescent radiance. Finally, when it is opened, a beautiful treasure is discovered inside. So the more that oyster is tossed, in the Concho River, they have beautiful pink pearls. The more it's tossed, the more lustrous the pearl. Just like a woman. What a beautiful metaphor. The more that we're tossed, the more that we go through, the older we get, the more lustrous. I'll tell you what, I was a stinker when I was in my 20s. I was full of myself, and I had gone through some pain, and I was taking it out on people. I was kind of a stinker. And as I grew out of it, I am way better now as a woman, as a grandmother, as someone who gives advice to my family and loves my family. I have way more value now than I did in my 20s, even though we were
it is a choice.
It is
a choice. We just saw this picture of Martha Stewart on the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. Did you see that picture? Oh my gosh. I mean, she is fabulous. She's 81 years old. And I'm not kidding you. She is fabulous. And she said, I gave up eating bread and pasta for 3 months and I started Pilates. But I mean, and yes, she has makeup artists and all this, but I mean, she is glorious. Now, I am just so in awe of her for having the wherewithal to love herself enough and to, and these shots of her are just phenomenal. But guess what? She's getting a lot of pushback. How dare you do that? Aren't we even allowed to age anymore? It was like, well, we can choose how we age. But this goes back to, is this heaven or hell?
It is. And she was a scapegoat. Holy
Oh,
cow.
was. Other people were doing all the same things that she was doing, with the insider trading. But yeah, she was hung out to dry. But guess what? This goes back to what you just read. She has been through it and she had come out glorious. So again, thank you so much, Cindy. I love our talks. And, our commitment, people, is to create heaven on earth for women and for men and for people in our world and in our nation and across the world. Also, tell us about where people can see about getting tickets to Pearl, your musical.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut this part out too, because this will be down, like way down the road. All right. I think Pearl will be over by the time this one comes out. But thank you for doing it. You're such a great promoter. You're such a. So I'm going to cut that part out too. Okay. And also, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. And now I'm going to say, well, thank you, Jeannie. This has been a wonderful conversation. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Jeannie. This is always good. Love our chats. Thank you for you. I love you so much. And thank you, ladies, for joining us on Bnow.
Amen. Thank you, Cindy. It's always great. It's always fun. And I just love how we are fearless in diving into things. But guess what? We have a lot of fun too.
We do. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.